Hey everyone, this is Kandace and Sher with Processing Trauma Out Loud. Sher, we're on part 3 of a series that we are calling Designed for Human Connection. And it's around the messages of attachment wounding. We believe in this so strongly because of the fruit that we've seen in our own lives and now the people that we know and people that we work with. So we've talked about this before, and we're probably actually always going to be talking about it to some degree. But last week we talked about the dismissive avoidant attachment wound, and the week before that we talked about secure attachment. But this week we're going to get into what does it feel like, what does it mean, how does it develop when you lean towards more of an anxious attachment wound or a preoccupied attachment wound. And we both also can relate to this. And so, what are your thoughts when I say, Share, how does an anxious attachment wound show up for somebody who leans towards that?
Yeah, I think again, and we kind of talked about this last week, but how can you tell what you are? I think it's look at your relationships. What do you do when there's conflict? What do you do when you feel that someone is moving away from you, or when you feel like you want to get some distance, but somebody won't let you get distance? Like these are the these are the kind of the telltale signs of how am I dealing with anxiety in the relationship? Am I avoiding that anxiety and therefore pulling away? Or am I preoccupied with that anxiety and doing everything I can to try to calm it down? And generally, for the anxious attachment or the preoccupied attachment, it is going to be kind of going after that person. The thing that the anxiously attached person believes in the core of their being is if I can get them to see, if I can get them to understand what's going on here or what's going on with me or what I need or how much I love them or all of these things, like we want to get that person to see so that they'll come back, because we have this belief that if they come back, when they come back, the anxiety that I feel will reduce and dissipate, and then I will feel at peace. And this is the ongoing cycle that so many people are caught in. It is that exactly of things are going along well for a while, everything is smooth, and then something happens that triggers us. And it might be conflict, it might be a feeling, it might be something we read, it might be something that it might be a tone of voice. It can be the smallest, most subtle thing, often that we are even not even aware of. And all of a sudden, boom, that anxiety goes up. We feel insecure. And then it's like we want to bring a reduction to all of that, those anxious sensations in our body. And we believe that that will happen through connecting with the person that we feel is pulling away.
Mhm. Yes,
What did I miss?
nothing. That was so good. It made me think of so the avoidant. So every attachment wounding has work to do, which just means ways that we heal that.
Yep.
For the avoidant, it's going to be the slowly, like you said, slowing everything down. It is going to take some work to step towards the other person. Okay. For the anxiously attached or preoccupied attached, their work in order to heal is to actually turn more towards themselves, to be able to understand that they have resources within themselves. Because the anxiously attached as children had the fear that they would not be okay, because they never knew if their needs were going to be met or not. And because sometimes they were, that intermittent reinforcement
Hmm.
causes them to believe, I've got to show up this way to get my needs met.
Mm.
And for that little child, it was true. But for the adult, the anxious attached person, the wounding is what resources do I have within myself that I'm not outsourcing. I need this person to be okay. It's we need one another. We don't want to say we don't need each other. It's the way that we feel like the that we need them.
Yeah.
It's to the level that we feel. So I lean towards anxious attachment
Mm.
and share when someone is in an avoidant attachment wound with me. I am not exaggerating when I say there is a level of fear that it's almost akin to death.
Yeah.
Like I've used this word, it feels fatal.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to say it doesn't. I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Can knock on my door at times, but the healing that I've done is I know how to find the resources within myself
Hmm.
in a way that I used to never be able to.
Yeah, I'm just picturing Candace, I'm picturing two babies, the with the same sense of need. The
Hmm.
avoidant baby isn't crying.
Yeah.
They believe that nobody is coming. The anxiously attached baby is crying, striving, hoping, looking anxiously, like waiting, because sometimes that that mother or that caregiver comes, and the baby is hoping they can figure out what it is that will get the care that they need today.
Hmm.
And then we develop that as we grow. So the way that a 3-year-old looks anxiously is different than a 5-year-old, is different than a 10-year-old. But we hone in on we mature our methods of getting that connection.
Yeah, that's a
But
good way to say it.
but it's still crying out for, please come and care for me. Please come and love me.
Mhm. Yeah, we try to dignify our coping behaviors, and some people do that very well. Some people never do. But what I want to focus on here is the compassion for for the people who have been labeled attention seekers.
Mm,
And a lot of times underneath those attention seeking behaviors is the wounded child.
yeah,
It is.
yeah.
I can relate to this and I can actually talk about it with, I'm going to just say even zero shame.
Mm,
I
mm,
had, I had to get attention through extreme measures.
yeah.
And there were times I got really good attention.
Hmm.
It's why I'm fearful avoidant. Well, that's one reason. But mostly it's actually that's let me take that back. That's not why I'm fearful avoidant. It's why I lean towards anxious is because I did have really good connection at times. And so we feel compassion for that adult who is struggling to understand, why do I always feel like I'm too much? Why do I always feel like people can't handle the needs that I have?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a painful place to be in.
Yes, for sure. And the thing that is true for the fearful person is that they keep trying, they keep reaching, they keep hoping. So they will use their voice, or they will try to find ways to get that person to see them, to soothe them, to keep them safe and offer security, right? Like there's a lot of anxiety there, so you keep trying. And if your close people in your life, if your partner or whoever it is that your best friend, whatever, because a lot of times this happens in friendships where the avoidant is connected with the anxious, but the anxious person will keep pursuing, and sometimes the more they pursue, the more the avoidant person will step away, and they go through these cycles over and over and over in the duration of the relationship.
Mhm. It's making me think, sometimes okay, so if we don't, so like we haven't maybe studied this or been in a context where we're either being coached or counseling and we're getting the language, we're getting the understanding. Let's just say we're showing up and historically, and I'm bringing this up because this does happen more than I would like to admit, but understanding this from a psychological perspective has historically not been okay. It's kind of like you were saying in our last episode, there was a time that needing counseling was taboo.
Yeah.
And so you're showing up and you're learning all this stuff and you have to unlearn maybe what you have been taught or shown that was coming from people that maybe have meant well, but they, for whatever reason, and I'm just going to name it, and I have a dear friend who's a biblical counselor, and we've been having these conversations that any type of science gets rejected. And I'll throw in here right now, the more I've understood scientifically what's
Yeah.
happening in our brains, the more fascinated I am with God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he made our brains. Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is relevant because we want to say, just like you ended our last episode with some mess, and this space has requiring so much compassion for the person that doesn't understand what's going on internally for them or externally in their relationships.
Yeah. And again, we talk about this all the time. Story work, story work, story work. Because when we go into our stories, we can understand why am I like this? What happened that caused me? Like once you understand why your little inner child is frantic at times with the need for connection, because you now know the story, you can connect and get closer to her and help her soothe in the moment. Like this is the work of IFS. Like this is another one of the things that we feel like people must do. You must find somebody who can begin to help you work with your parts. You must do the story work. The first time I shared a story, Candace, and had the attunement within the context of a group, it absolutely changed my life. And I mean, I had done other work before, so that wasn't my first foray into self help or therapy or anything like that. But the first time that in the context of a story, I received care, it changed my life.
Mhm.
And that moment is embedded in my mind and in my body. And I think that once we begin to share our stories in a context of care, we can understand why we are anxiously or avoidantly attached, insecurely attached, and we can then begin to offer that self care or reach toward good care with more confidence. So, and I will say that both IFS and story work, it's like, so what we must get is we must get the four S's. We must be seen and soothed and safe and secure. And this comes through story work and through IFS work. Like, I don't honestly understand how a person can heal if we do not receive informed trauma care because these places of wounding
Mm.
don't go away without it.
Yeah, they don't go away with just age. I think it's funny. Okay, so I am an 8 on the Enneagram, and I have to just share this funny story in the context of your passion and using the word must. I actually know it's true, but I was talking to this other woman, she's an 8 on the Enneagram, and she said, "Man, sometimes Siri tells me what to do. It's the right thing to do, and what comes up in me is, don't boss me around. Don't tell me what to do." And the thing about it is if you don't listen to Siri, you're
Yeah.
probably not gonna end up where you need to go.
Yeah. Okay. So I will rephrase this for all of the eights. I would love to invite you toward opening the door to IFS work. I would love to invite you toward like this is I'm using the word must because I do feel passionate about it.
Well, it's
but
the direction.
but yes, this is we're offering it as invitation. And I actually want to offer one more must today. Oh, sorry, one more.
No, do it. I support your mess share.
One more invitation, and that is whatever our insecure attachment is, whichever direction we go. And I will say, I think this is pretty much across the board for people who have experienced childhood trauma. We have a very loud inner critic. This is
Yeah.
one of the most hallmark characteristics of people who have complex PTSD, which just means you were in a context of PTSD that didn't end. It's not like it was a one moment in time thing, but it was ongoing trauma. And as a result of ongoing trauma, we develop complex PTSD. And one of the hallmarks is the inner critic that is very loud. And I will say another aspect that goes along with that are these automatic negative thoughts.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's called ants, ANTS,
Yeah.
automatic negative thoughts. And when we are bombarded constantly by the inner critic and by these thoughts that just take us down negative paths, it's hard. You know, it goes back to that thing that I was saying earlier of we can't do what we can't do.
Mhm.
And we cannot free ourselves from the inner critic. I don't believe I needed help. I needed somebody that where I could say, yeah, but I mean, if you only knew how bad I was, and then to have somebody say, okay, well, like, would you be able to tell me, like, give me a couple of examples of how bad you really are? I want to know. Ooh, but it was life changing. Like when I could do that and the person could say, I can hold that share, like I'm not running away. Like I will just tell you, Lori Proctor, there were times like I had to set up a session with, are you sure, Lori? Are you sure you want to go here? Are you sure that you can hold this? I don't want I don't want to make you sick. I don't want to give you I don't want to like I had this fear that what I was going to share would be too much and she had to literally assure me that she could hold and contain my story and if it was too much for her, she had resources. And finally I would say, "Okay, this, Lori, like this is how bad I really am." And I could not undo that by myself. There was no way I would have ever been able to find myself out of those places
Mhm.
without help.
Yeah. Mm. Yes, I've heard you talk about that many times, and it always makes me think of in IFS language, there are no bad parts, not even your inner critic.
Yeah.
Like your inner critic was developed as a way to protect you, me, everyone who experienced complex childhood trauma, to say it has to be me.
Yeah.
It can't be my parent.
Right.
It can't be my caregiver. Like, it has to be something about me because it actually helps the child have a little bit of feeling of control.
Yeah. Survive.
survive.
Yeah.
And so, just knowing that when you was showing up with Lori, it was that little girl that was saying, "If you know how bad this is, actually how bad I am, you
Yeah.
will reject me too."
Oh, 100%.
And so, oof, yeah, I'm so glad that you have tended to that little girl. And I love when you show up and say, "Yep, this is where I'm at. This is what I need. What you got?"
I know, it's like radical transformation. Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, friend, and just continuing. I hear the tenderness. I hear the gratitude. I hear the healing, and this is why we're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
It's
why right
it's
here.
why we have the and I'm gonna say this, I think it's okay to say this. It's why I feel like I can say we must.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, it's non-negotiable. Like, if I'll say to
You,
our listeners, if you want to heal, like, do the things that are hard. We have to do some of the things that feel hard because if we don't, we'll never be able to unravel the stuff that is just tangling us up and squeezing the breath out of us.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes, we must, and we don't have to do it alone. And so, what that looks like is it's the sharing of a burden.
Yeah,
So, your coach, your therapist is actually not taking your burden on.
no,
It is the sharing of it. I feel like I have a quote right now, but I don't know it that well, so I'm not going to say it. But it is like when you share a burden, it lightens the load.
mm, yeah,
And that's what unburdening
yeah,
is that somebody else it will share it, not in the sense of taking it from you, but to help you be able to have access to who you truly are to be able to tend to that little wounded space.
yeah. It's It's real transformation. I want to just share. I asked one of my clients recently. We had been working for together for a period of time, and we were just kind of celebrating together, kind of this milestone in terms of time. And I said, when you think back on where were you when we first started compared to where are you today? And this was just spur of the moment, you know. So she hadn't had time, and she didn't even think for a minute, and she said, "Share." When I met you, all I did was cry. I cried all the time. And she said, I'm not crying that much anymore. And it was just this beautiful i- testimony of transformation that happens when we have somebody who walks with us, like the pain that we have carried so with such heaviness and such um, pain. I don't know, with so much pain, like our load is lightened. Someone else is with us. We're not alone anymore, and our lives are changed.
Well, I've never been your client, but I could actually say the very same thing that your client did. Share. When I met you, I feel like I cried all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not that I still can't cry, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's so different.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
thank you again for your friendship, your commitment to do this podcast, and yeah, for showing up with me in a way that's helped me heal.
And right back at you, friend. So much.
Good
Yeah.
to meet you today. Love you.
I love you too, Candace.